Hello there. The DUP leader, Geoffrey Donaldson, has threatened to pull the plug on the Northern Ireland Protocol if it keeps damaging ties to the rest of the UK. As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below. And why not buy a mug with my mug on it? The DUP leader, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, has warned Brussels that Northern Ireland ministers could unilaterally drop all checks on goods entering Northern Ireland from Great Britain if the protocol or any other deal agreed to causes damage to the ties between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK. But he also went further. Speaking to the Times, he also gave warning to the Republic of Ireland that the DUP could suspend some key parts of the peace agreement if there was no compromise. But one key point here is that the next Northern Ireland Assembly elections are due to be held in May next year. And there is talk that Sinn Féin could win most seats, something that would change the whole political landscape with a united Ireland nationalist as First Minister of Northern Ireland and the inevitable collapse of the power-sharing arrangements. And the DUP is not in good shape at the moment, having lost two leaders in a matter of weeks, and so could find itself losing out anyway. The DUP has only 10 months to re-find its way, and Donaldson said his job was to get the DUP back onto the centre ground, which is where the majority, if not all, of UK elections used to be won. Now, if the DUP did scrap the checks, then one assumes it would take a long time for the UK government to get around to doing anything about it. Maybe Geoffrey Donaldson and Boris Johnson have already discussed this. Who knows? At least Donaldson is taking the battle to Brussels and is determined to fight to keep the ties tight between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. But with those elections coming up next year, I suspect the EU will hold off of doing anything other than keep demanding that the UK buckles to their demands, in the hope that a Sinn Féin-led assembly will then do all it can to separate Northern Ireland from Great Britain. Well, if Sinn Féin does end up in that position, I'm sure that's exactly what they'll do. Moving on. Now, this Pingdemic is causing absolute Pingdemonium, with nearly 1.5 million people pinged into self-isolation already and only a relative handful of 10,000 or so of key workers being allowed back to work to keep the economy going. Initially, we were told that the double-jabbed would be exempt from self-isolation when the NHS app algorithm was changed mid-next month. But when asked about this, the Environment Secretary George Eustace refused to verify that. Maybe ministers have realised that if the only route to getting a couple of weeks off of work is to not have the jab. But isn't it strange that we get Freedom Day announced, then right on cue the failing and hugely expensive NHS app is suddenly gleefully pinging all and sundry? I think it's blatantly obvious that the government still thinks a lockdown is necessary, but had decided that the blanket countrywide lockdowns had run their course with the public fast losing patience with them, and the regional lockdowns were far too difficult to administer. So what better way than introducing a new form of widespread lockdown via an algorithm, using an opaque system that cannot be questioned or argued with? But the inherent problem with this form of auto-pinging when certain criteria of proximity are met is that the people who have to get close together most of the time are those key workers. All those shop staff, all those people that deliver, all those healthcare workers, all the people that have to be in close proximity to others to get their work done. So the NHS app is almost certainly going to ping them, isn't it? And remember, there were reports a few months ago that public sector workers had been told not to install the app on their phones. but one assumes that would be a legally unenforceable instruction. Anyway, is all this pinging of key workers just one of those unforeseen consequences? Now, before I get to the next item, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my Patreon and PayPal supporters, as well as those that buy a mug with my mug on it. You really do help me keep this channel going. Now, there's a new threat to an absolutely critical supply chain. Because of what they call a paltry offer of a 1.4% pay rise, 1,000 drivers and warehouse staff at XPO Logistics Drinks are voting next week on whether or not to take strike action. And the reason this is critical is because they deliver 40% of the nation's lager, a staple for many during these hot summer evenings. And this, coupled with the aforementioned key workers such as food and drink delivery drivers getting pingitis as they move in and out of stores and warehouses, it might leave a thirsty nation in its wake. I just hope it doesn't affect real ale and vino supplies. Moving on. In a move to bolster its international credentials, or more likely to enhance its authority, the European Union asked the International Olympic Committee if the Slovenian team could carry the EU flag as well as its own flag at the Olympic opening ceremony. In a joint letter written by Janez Janša, the PM of Slovenia, which currently holds the EU 6-month rotating presidency, and EU Commissioner Margarita Šinas, they said that allowing this would make the Slovenian athletes ambassadors for European unity and the values underpinning our union, which match those of the Olympic movement. And it also said that the EU flag was a symbol of peaceful coexistence, tolerance and solidarity. Ha! Tell that to Poland. Thankfully, the IOC saw sense. Well, they consulted their rulebook and said no, that cannot be done, saying, an Olympic team can only use one flag, one emblem and one anthem adopted by its National Olympic Committee and approved by the IOC Executive Board. The Eurocrats will be upset that part of their roadmap to becoming a de facto single state has been stymied. Although the ceremony was such an understated affair that I doubt anyone would have noticed this time round anyway. But I wonder if the EU Commissioner, Ursula von der Leyen, is looking at various flags around the world from past and present and wondering if the EU can take a leaf out of the UK colonial past by penning an instruction to all EU 27 member states to change all their national flags so that the upper quadrant nearest the flagpole must be the EU gold stars on blue. Now, Poland is coming under attack from the Brussels Eurocrats because the country has decided to change its judicial setup. And this is having EU-wide ramifications, because the Irish Supreme Court is asking the ECJ whether they should refuse to surrender 2 men in Ireland to Poland for trial. With the question basically being, will they get a fair trial in a properly constituted court in Poland? Well, if EU member states can no longer trust each other... And I've always laughed at EU member states having what they call Supreme Courts, like ours when we were members. They are nothing of the sort. It's like the age-old joke of the Democratic Republic of Congo not being what it says on the tin. And the title has always been a great place to hide the truth. So what's your opinion on all of this? Please like and comment below.